Magandang umaga sa bawat isa. Welcome to our EDU115, Facilitating Learner-Centered Teaching. We welcome you on our broadcast today as we will have a review of this domain, this cluster of professional education. I welcome our one top chat from our YouTube channel. My student will not be able to make it. However, I would like to have an online broadcast eventually that for her reference, no, sa kanyang pag-aaral. So what we're gonna do today is for us to review, no, a matter of review on this cluster. Facilitating learning as well as child development is part of 20%, would make up of 20% of the TOS or table of specification for the licensure examination. By the way, I'll be using Lorimar, Comprehensive Reviewer, Let Review, as my source material for this discussion. And I have a copy and I was able to scan it for educational purpose. And yan, I thank the Lorimar Publishing for providing quality books for our pre-service teachers as well as our professional teachers who are engaging also in teaching secondary and tertiary level as well. Acknowledging our two top chats from our YouTube channel. Magparamdam po kayo dyan mga kapatid. So salamat po sa dalawa at iba pa, no? So we will have an online review series now, no? So starting from the very first question, then we could have some item analysis. I think that's far more important as far as the review is concerned, is to have an analysis of the test items and then see for ourselves whether we are actually gauging on the test. Okay, so that's our it's part of the review of my student also, but I'm extending this to our YouTube channel, no, that there are some of you are still in the pre-service training as secondary BSED students, or perhaps you already graduated and you're applying for your licensure exam for teachers, or perhaps you're already a licensed professional teacher. However, you need to have some review for your as far as your reinforcements concerned in teaching these courses as well. So we welcome you. Even our two top chats from our YouTube channel, I hope you could share this live stream to all that could benefit from this lecture. Okay, so nevertheless, even though my student will not be coming in, I would like to share also this resource to all of you in the live stream. So we welcome you, these two top chats. Okay, I'll be opening now my material. Okay, so this is based on the NCBTS. This is the comprehensive review test for published by Lorimar. So I was privileged to have a copy. I bought this from the National Bookstore. Yan. So it's part also of my though this is the latest edition. When I took the board exam 2013, I used Lorimar reference as well as some references from other publishing. Rex Publishing is also have a quality reference material. So yeah, so that's the reference. Now this composes of 20% of your professional education courses that has at least 4 competencies based on the table of specification and national competency based teacher standard that has 7 domains, no, as provided to us by DepEd and the Commission on Higher Education. So 3 of which are from the learner's perspective. If I will mention the NCBTS or the National Competency Based Teacher Standards, that would focus on this framework of 7 domains. Number 1 is the social regard for learners or learning. So that's a very important aspect of our educative process, that we should have this social regard, whether that be from the different norms of the society, we should encourage people or our pupils to learn, and as regardless of their social standing. Now, there must be an education for all, an implication for education for all, and then of course the learning environment that is suited uh, to the learners. Perhaps this would be a cozy place where, or an appropriate learning environment in our schools, whether that be face to face or during this time we're still on the pandemic, there's a limited interaction. Most of our learning processes had been done through online. That's the second domain. And then the third domain is the diversity of learners. We need to be able to discern also these diversities in terms of their talents, abilities, their capability to learn, and what are their potentials for growth as far as their academic life is concerned. These are the three uh, in particular to the learner: social regard for learner, learning environment, and diversity of learners. Uh, these are the three domains pertaining to the learners. Now, the fourth one is the curriculum itself. There must be a curriculum um, that is actually would this curriculum should encompass all of the learning domains, no? For instance, for secondary education, or most especially for tertiary level, no, there must be uh, this curriculum that will enable them to the outcome, based on the the outcomes, not necessarily on the content, that will enable them to carry on their learning to their work or workplace. So particularly as teachers, no, this learning would enable them, equip them, and that they become a responsive curriculum for their practice of the profession. No? Kasi nga, pag ang curriculum ay mahina, no? So definitely it will have an impact to the results of the board performance of an institution. Okay, so another is the planning, assessing, and reporting. So this is more on uh, the administrative aspect of the education. So there is planning, assessing, and reporting. There must be a planning as far as the curricular development is concerned, and assessing whether the curriculum had been effective, had been responsive to the people, to the needs of the community in general, and there must be a reporting on this. And then there is number 6 domain, which is community linkages. So this is also an important aspect that we should be, there must be a linkage to the community where learning becomes more relevant if there are exposures as far as learning in the community is concerned. So there's a lot of impact among the students, or even to the teachers who are actually doing some community linkages. And then lastly, we have the personal growth and professionalism for the teachers themselves, that they may progress on their career path as teachers, educators, whether that be on the basic education or higher education. And of course, that we should practice with utmost professionalism, and that we are have an oath of professionalism during the time that you have your board, your oath as a professional teacher. Okay, so these are some of the ideas that we may input here, that this material is based on the National Competency-Based Teacher Standards and the table of specification provided by the Commission, or the Professional Regulation Commission, which is the regulatory body for all of the regulated professions in the Philippines. So that includes professional teachers. Okay? So yan po mga kapatid. Ayan, so okay lang yan. So actually ang purpose ko dito i-record itong lecture na ito for my student, but nevertheless I would like to extend this in our live stream. So I welcome everyone. No? If there are some background viewers there, you may just express your presence so that I will know and I could have some interaction to you. Okay, let's move on, and we will be discussing some test items here on this cluster of 20%. Malaki na to, no? 20%. No? So, do maraming bahagi dyan, professional teaching, what else? Other clusters, no? For the professional prop ed course. No? But solid 20% is given to this cluster. Okay? So we have here some competencies, analyze the cognitive, metacognitive, motivational, and sociocultural factors that affect learning. So this more emphasis on learning, very important for the development of our children, our pupil in your classroom, is the cognitive, metacognitive, meaning above, thinking about thinking, learning about learning. So these are experiences higher than the usual cognitive process, metacognitive, looking into a bird's eye view, a wider perspective of your cognition. Then also motivational, there are intrinsic and extrinsic motivations here, and then sociocultural factors that would affect the learning process as well. That's the first competency. Second, applied theories. So these are 14 psychological theories of learning and development to the teaching and learning processes. So there are theories that would enable us to understand these processes. And number 3, draw educational implications of research findings related to child and adolescent learning and development among biological, linguistic, cognitive, social, and psychological dimensions. So we could also have some study on these different dimensions. No, primarily in the social dimension, but this is not confined alone to social. It may also have biological dimensions of learning, linguistic also. There's an impact, cognitive, and also psychosocial or psychological dimensions, which is, I think, a back domain, which is the social dimension of education. It's very important. And then we have here organize a learning environment that is purposive to learners' needs and that promotes fairness among learners of various culture, family background, and gender. So we must be also discerning, sensitive on this. No? Sandali lang po mga kapatid. Ayan. Excuse me po. Acknowledging our 3 top chats from our YouTube channel. So you could post your message there so that I could acknowledge you. So my student will be absent today, so I decided to record this lecture, particular a review of this domain, the third domain of your table of specification for the prop ed in review, no? In preparation for your licensure examination. Acknowledging for top chats. Ang paramdam naman kayo mga kapatid. Ayan, at yan po. So yung sensitivity in terms of their social cultural background, that's a very important role among the teacher. Yun lang, sobrang dami ng pupils sa isang classroom, minsan hindi na nagagampanan ito. Yan po dapat maging tayo dyan, discerning, sensitive on the needs, the socio-cultural outlook, the family perhaps, bakit kaya nagkakaroon ng difficulties on learning ang mga estudyante. Perhaps we could also look at their background and their also your gender or sexual identity. No? So of course, males have different interests, females has different interests too. Yan. So as we move on, we will be answering some test questions relating to this domain, and I would utilize this Lorimar comprehensive reviewer for LET Prop Ed. So I will be utilizing this. Thank you for the publisher that providing quality review materials for us. And fact, even the time that I was taking the exam, that was 8 years ago, Lorimar. I brought a Lorimar. Now these are 2 volumes. I don't know if there are the 3rd volume coming in, but as early as 2013, and this is an updated version 2016. I believe there is another one that have been come out into the market. So you may as well buy this, no? And perhaps you may use this as your review material, or perhaps a reinforcement on you. If you are already a professional teacher, you may use this as reinforcement for you to continue, no? So sige, before we start, we could pray, ask the Lord for our guidance through this learning. So I will finish, perhaps I will tackle all of the items, no? As many items as I could, and then we will continue perhaps next year, tuloy next week, Lord willing. Okay, so, since my course here is only once a week session, I divided it into 2. The 1.5 hour is like this, no? We have synchronous time, and then 1.5 would be for her asynchronous activities, which I believe she is doing right now, though he has other things to do. That's why he was not able to come in on our classroom. All right. So let's open a word of prayer. Father in heaven, we thank you for this day. Thank you for this opportunity that we could discuss some test items relative to the review of this facilitating learning and child development, adolescent development. These are important clusters, domain, Lord, for the professional ed, and I pray for your guidance and mercy to us as we continue to study, and also bless Steph for her training right now, that she may not come in our classroom, but nevertheless we will continue, and this will be recorded for her and continually guide her towards her goal of becoming a licensed teacher, and eventually be involved into a wider perspective of education. Thank you, Lord. Bless your people, even our streamers, our YouTubers that are viewing us this morning. It's our prayer in Christ's name. Amen. Okay, let's continue. Number 294. That's the first item here. It says here, palakihan ko nga ng konti. Medyo yeah, I think that's a better view. All right. Okay, yeah, I think that's a better view there. The question here, no? So normally sa Prof Ed, guys, no, isang tip diyan, alerto kayo sa mga multiple answers. This is a type of a multiple answers where the answers could be 1 or 2 or 3 items. No? We must be careful, and we should not be excited in choosing only one. That's an incomplete answer. Now, when you're too excited and you're not weighing in the other choices, then the mistake is coming in. So that's the dilemma of our students who are too excited in answering the correct item. Yes, answer, but there are more answers. So that's a multiple choice, multiple answer category for this case, just like this number 294 that we are looking right now. Okay, it says here, which statement on motivation is true? So regarding motivation, that's very important. Motivation is not necessarily something that learners bring to school. Okay, then all right, number 2, motivation can arise from environmental conditions at school. No, that's the second item. Third item, teachers motivate students to learn and behave in ways that promote their long-term success and productivity. Huwag din kayo magtiwala sa sobrang habang sagot, guys. Yan ang problematic dyan. Hindi porke mahaba, siya lang ang tama. Tandaan nyo. Though in some cases, yung mas mahaba, yun ang tama. Yun ang tama kapag single answer. But this question is a multiple answer. It's a multiple choice, multiple answer. So titignan natin isa-isa based on definition. Kasi naman tinatanong nyo, ano yung totoo? Which statements on motivation are true? Okay? Sige, I will be writing here the answer. But we don't have a top chat pa eh. Ayan, yung ating nag-iisang viewer ay background viewer. Ayan po. So number 1, motivation is not necessarily something that learners bring to school. Not necessarily, right? So item 1 is a correct statement. So it's true. Alright? So check yan. Pero wag mong i-check. Buti na lang walang one only dyan. No? So mamamali ka. Okay, number 2, motivation can arise from environmental conditions at school. Now, yes, in a form of extrinsic motivation, environment condition is an extrinsic motivation. And it could arise from that, from the condition. So, item number 2 is a correct item also. Number 3, teachers motivate students to learn and behave in ways. So it's the teacher now, no? This time, teachers are motivating factor to the student to learn and to behave in ways that promote their long-term success. Yes, because teachers are models not only on their yung pag-uugali o modelo ng pag-uugali, hindi lamang yun, pero yung ugali, yung modelo ng pagkatuto, dapat makita rin sa estudyante sa ano yun. Sa mga guru yun, no? Long-term successes and productivity, it should be from the student because we are agents of motivation for them. Motivate students to learn and behave in ways that promote their long-term process. Okay? So, for this item, the answer is item 1, 2, and 3. So, letter D. Ilalagay ko sa chat box para hindi malito yung ano, yung mga may isa ako ninja dito. Alright, next item. Okay, is my screen following? Alright, 295. Okay, I'll be reading on 295, which are effects of motivation learners. So again, motivation is very important item, no? So 295, no? So wag tayong wag tayong ma-excite sa pagsasagot. Basahin natin, you weigh in all of the choices, and then from there we could have a cognitive process of perhaps eliminating the wrong answer. Eventually you will arrive at an answer if the correct answer is not obvious. Alright? So, yan po yan. Which are effects of motivation on learners. Number 1, directs their behavior toward particular goals. Okay? Number 2, increases their persistence in activities. No? So, persistent. And then number 3, lead to learners increase in effort and energy. I think these 3 items are actually heading on the same direction. So the answer is letter D. So all of these would have an impact on the learner, no? Particular goals, no? We need to have a right behavior towards a particular goal. Tama yun. And motivation could do that both intrinsically and extrinsically and increase their persistence in activities. So you need to motivate them to continue to persevere, to be persistent in their learning activities. And number 3, leads the learners increase effort and energy on himself. He could have an initiative of effort and energy. So for 295, the answer is letter D. Alright, let's continue. Okay, let's continue, guys. Okay, 296. Which metacognitive process enhance learning? So we are into metacognitive process. No? Monitoring progress as one learns. Okay. Adjusting strategies if they are perceived ineffective. And goal setting. Now the question is that, is these three elements part of the metacognitive process that enhance learning? In terms of monitoring of progress, I think so. Check. Adjusting strategies if they are perceived ineffective. So we need to have flexibility on our strategies. If one strategy is not working, we could have an alternative strategy, adjustment. No? And then we have goal setting. So of course, we need to have a goal in all of these learning processes. So the answer is, again, letter D. Nagkakataon lang to, guys, ha? For 296, it's letter D. So by the way, some note in 294, motivation makes students more focused, make them persevere, and realize their goal. So that's the assumption there. So for 296, the answer is D as well. Alright, next to this, 297. Okay, this is regarding metacognition. Metacognitive processes favorably influence learning. Okay, which does not belong to metacognitive process. Ayan na, medyo mahirap na to, guys. Yan. So yung metacognitive. Alright, so I'm giving you time to think. Also, Steffi, if you will be watching this sooner or later, so you could have a time for reflection. Yan, may self-reflection dyan. Does not belong to metacognitive process. So letter A, it's self-reflection. Letter B, self-responsibility and initiative. Letter C, goal setting. And D, remembering. Yan, so sige. Bigyan ko kayo ng konting minuto dyan. Okay. So, we should define first metacognition. What is metacognition or metacognitive learning is defined as knowing what to learn and knowing how to learn. So, it answers two questions. What to learn and how to learn. So, yan po ang makikita natin dyan. No? So, metacognition or metacognitive learning is knowing what to learn and knowing how to learn. Alright? So, yun yung... So, sa tingin nyo, at ito ay single answer, guys. Walang multiple answers dito. Ano doon ang related? No, related sa dalawang ito. That what to learn, learning what to learn, and knowing rather how to learn. Okay? So here, it says here, it consists of two basic processes occurring simultaneously. Monitoring your progress as you learn. Okay, there's this sense of monitoring your progress as you learn. So there is this intrinsic knowledge in your part as a learner that you are learning these things. No? Alam nga namang unaware ka na natuto ka na nun. So, mahirap yan. Na unaware ka na natuto ka na, mahirap yan, guys. So, dapat meron kang self-awareness. So, in terms of monitoring your progress, making changes and adapting your strategies if you perceive you are not doing so well. And it's about self-reflection, self-responsible initiative, as well as goal setting and time management. Alright? So what do you think is not belong? Obviously, the one that does not belong ay yung hindi ko nabanggit. Self-reflection is part of the metacognitive process. There must be a monitoring self-reflection of your learning. There must be a self-responsibility initiative. It's very part of the metacognitive process. Goal setting. There must be a goal to reach. So therefore, the answer is letter D, which is not part. Okay? Ako, nag-incheck na to. Dali lang. Okay? So the answer for 297 is letter D also. Yan. So yung mga ano dyan background viewer dyan, please mag-chat naman kayo. Yung ninja ko lang nagta-chat. Okay, let's look on 298. Ito, hindi na sigurado ko, hindi na letter D ang sagot dito. Alright? Acknowledging, Sir John. Salamat, Sir John. Thank you for dropping by, Sir John. So, my student is out. That's why I'm recording this lecture for her. So, perhaps tomorrow, he could catch up the link. And also, I'm opening this to our YouTubers. Thank you, Sir John, for dropping by. Ako, Sir John Music ang ating kaibigan sa YouTube. Yan. Okay. So let's look now at number 298. Okay, so this is a question. It says here, research says that students' motivation is likely to vary as a function of age, culture, gender, and socioeconomic background. What does this imply? Okay, so anong implication ng mga varying parameters na yan or variables in motivation? Like your age, no? Mas motivated ba pag tumatanda o mas motivated pag bata, no? So there are researchers on that. Perhaps there is a peak and there is already a declining motivation as we grow old perhaps, no? But are there other factors, your culture, your gender, no? Most probably the ladies would have more motivation than us males, no? Socioeconomic background perhaps, no? So letter A, there is no single best method in motivating learners. Okay. Letter B, preschoolers are easier to motivate than high school students. I don't think so. So hindi na letter B ang sagot. I don't think so. So one or few times na ako nagturo in an informal Sunday school for kids, it's really hard to motivate preschoolers. You need to have a right methodology and right approach and motivation as well for you to motivate them. Without the proper motivation in yourself, you cannot motivate people like these preschoolers. No? So I doubt if letter B is correct. And letter C, boys are more difficult to motivate than girls. Not necessary, depending. Kaya nga nagbabari yan on the culture, gender, socioeconomics. Not all the time that we are not motivated. No, we are motivated in numerical computations, while the females or girls would be motivated in more of flexible or global mindset in their teaching, because boys are more likely to become linear in their learning. So I don't think so also for letter C. Letter D, children from deprived homes are less motivated than children from affluent homes. I don't think so also. Perhaps poverty or richness is not an issue in learning. So I would say a more appropriate answer here is letter A. For 298, it's letter A. Okay? Alright, so let's move on. No, tabingi yung pagkakascan ko nito. Another multiple answer questions here. It says here on 299, research says that students develop greater efficacy for learning tasks when they see others like themselves performing the task successfully. So they are motivated because there are successes on their peers or their classmates. There is a greater efficacy. Okay? This means that the students must be exposed to models, yeah, of their age who come from similar cultural background with similar socio-economic background. Ayan, mag-isip kayo. Alright? So there is a mindset here, no? So of the age, yes. Of their age level, importante yun na magkaka-age level sila kasi kapag yung isang bata sinama mo sa matatanda, medyo problematic yun. Baka hindi talaga ma-motivate, no? Mangarag yung bata. No? Yung tamang age niya lang, yung age group or section or your grade level. And then similar cultural background, mas maganda yan kasi nga halimbawa yung kung ikaw ay isang Bicolano, you might as well have motivation in communicating to your kapwa Bicolanos, no? No, mas may pagkakaintindi doon, or perhaps from Manila, no? So we could mingle with other Manila Lenyo. Ganun ba yan? And then we have socio-economic background, okay? So pwede rin, no? So yung mga, though hindi necessary all the time yan, but I would agree, no, that there is a greater efficacy if you will combine them homogeneously. But in some cases, we should steer them to a heterogeneous environment, no? Lalo na kapag nasa higher levels na, hindi na nagiging effective ang homogeneity, no? Sometimes yung heterogeneity, no, could challenge them, perhaps for their self-learning as well. But nevertheless, the answer here is letter D. 299. Alright, so let's move on with that item 300 here. Okay, which elements must be present for goal setting to become an effective motivational tool? So ano-ano ba yung sangkap ng isang mabuting to be present for goal setting, no? Yung mga layunin, pagtatakda ng layunin ng isang mag-aaral, at ito ay magiging mabisang motibasyon sa na kasangkapan or tool, right? So of course, first aspect, we have a goal acceptance. This goal must be accepted by the learners, no? Kung yan ay hindi katanggap-tanggap sa kanya, hindi niya gagawin yan. Okay, there must be an acceptance for both end, the one that's setting goal and the one that is actually achieving the goal, the learners. And of course, we need, as teachers, we must direct them to that goal. We need to motivate them. All right? And then the specificity o yung pagiging specificness ng goal na yon, dapat specific siya. No, hindi siya dapat broad dahil maaring maligaw doon yung estudyante. Dapat specific goal. And then there is a challenge. You need to challenge these pupils as well to be motivated. And then of course, performance monitoring. Now, how are these pupils faring on their goal? Perhaps the goal is for them to perform basic mathematical operations for 3 digits. Ayan. So we could perform them. Perhaps we could start in 1 digit, 2 digits, and then 3 digits. So there's performance monitoring. And then there are feedback. We need to understand there should be a feedback so that it will have a cycle of process. There must be a feedback that will become another input to the next cycle so that we may improve the process. Okay? So I would say all of these are elements of an effective motivational tool. So letter D. Right. Next, 301. Okay, so it says here, without being told by the group mates, a student went to a laboratory stock room to get materials needed for the group experiment. What kind of motivation does the student manifest? Oh, see? May kusang palo itong estudyante. Hindi yung palong pamalo. Ibig sabihin, kusa siya. Na may kusa siya. Without being told by the group mates. There's an initiative. Yes. Guys, there's an initiative for this fellow to continue. Nevertheless. So, obviously, this is an intrinsic motivation. Yung letter A and B, extrinsic, external, X na agad yan, intrinsic or positive, no? Hindi lahat ng intrinsic positive, pero lahat ito ay intrinsic. No? This is more of intrinsic motivation, okay? So the answer is letter C. 301 is letter C. Alright. Let's continue. Move on 302. Makakarami tayo ngayon kasi wala yung estudyante ko. Pero okay pa rin yan. No? My student will take note of the answers for her own good and her preparation for the licensure exam. Expecting next year. Okay, 302. Okay, in the formal operational stage, okay, so which is or are adolescents capable of doing to solve a problem? Capable of doing to solve the problem. So this is the okay. So it says here formulate hypothesis in terms of problem solving, is systematically test hypothesis, or reason out. Alright, so these are the test items, answers. No? Reasoning out, I would cross that. I would focus on formulating hypothesis and systematically testing hypothesis. Kasi you're capable of doing to solve a problem, no? So this must be formulating, or teka, baka mali ako. Mali nga ako. Ulit. So ang process pa lang tinutukoy dito, hindi lang yung initiation, no? It's a mistake on my part. So formulate hypothesis, check, and then systematically test the hypothesis and reason out from that hypothesis. So all of these are answers. So therefore the answer is letter A. Tama, letter A pala to. No, minsan nagkakamali rin ako ng analysis, no. Okay, next. We have next at 303. Yan, saglit na mga kapatid, wait lang. Merienda lang muna tayo, brought by my wife. Salamat, honey. Yan. So habang yan, nagre-review. Okay, teka. Tama ba yung screen ko? Yes, 303. Okay. Okay, which refers to the act of a learner who reflects on his or her own thinking. Okay, so 303. He reflects from the word itself, keyword, makikita nyo na yung sagot. He reflects or thinks on his own thinking. Thinking about thinking. No? By definition, that is metacognition. Okay? Metacognition. Saglit lang guys ha. Sisip lang ako ng konti nito. Alright, so the answer for 303 is letter A, metacognition. Alright, let's move on to item number 304. Alright. Okay, teachers who promote psychological development in the classroom create an environment where each child feels appreciated and is comfortable with learning new things and building relationship with peers without fear. How does the teacher create this environment? Okay, so napaka-comprehensive na tanong ito. 304. Incorporates life skills in lessons to increase confidence and self-sufficiency. Yung life skills, importante yun. Yung mga buhay-buhay, hindi lang academic but yung mga paraan ng the way to for you to live, no? In a practical sense, not only in the academic sense, no? That could be incorporated to the life skills. And number 2, gives continuous feedback on work that had been completed to eliminate uncertainty. Yung feedback mechanism, very important both for the students and the teachers. No? There must be a feedback mechanism. Actually, it works both ways. The students, when they have their performance evaluation or tests, that would be reflective on the teachers, and the teachers on the other hand would give back the results and perhaps suggest on how to improve their academic standing, no? Towards confidence and self-sufficiency. Okay, letter number 2, gives continuous feedback on work being completed. Okay, let's check also. Number 3, provides considerable pre-experiments to encourage development of independence. Perhaps in mathematics, after some drawing some example, I will let the students solve for his own and increasing difficulty. No? Perhaps that is a necessary thing for learn in mathematics for them to be exposed in increasing difficulty of the test items. So there must be these experiments to encourage development of independence. And then provides physical and academic activities that develop diligence and self-confidence. I would agree on this. These 4 items are answers. So for 304, the answer is letter A. Alright, so next, move on, 305. Maulang umaga sa inyong mga kapatid. Maulan dito. Acknowledging 2 top chats. Pwede kayo magparamdam. Thank you for dropping by in our live streaming here. We are reviewing for our LET students, for our education students, for their LET preparation. Okay, 305. Which of the following does not belong to the cognitive factors affecting learning? Okay. So I will allow you to think. So yung cognitive factor. Right? Is it intelligence? Is it B, memory, C, health, and D, reason? Intelligence is basically related to cognition, no problem. Letter B, memory, is also related to, it's actually the depository of your cognitive process, your memory, whether it's a short-term or a long-term memory. This is still a depository of your cognitive process. So I would say that this is part and parcel of that cognitive factors. And then also we have reasoning. Of course, you need to reason out. We could draw from your own uh, depository of information. You could reason out based on this, no? And of course, health is not a cognitive factor. So the answer is letter C. Okay, let's move on to 306. Non-cognitive process related to learning and aging include the following except what? Yan. So may exception. Tinatanong exception, ha. So yung learning, related to learning and aging. A, motivation. Number 2, health. Number 3, loss of speed. And number 4, intelligence. Yan. So non-cognitive process related to learning and aging. Of course, motivation is still part of that non-cognitive process. Okay, and health is part of that non-cognitive. Okay, of course, intelligence is cognitive. Loss of speed is non-cognitive. So the answer there is for Roman numeral 4, the answer is letter B. Okay? So minsan nakakalito, no? Baka isulat mo letter D kasi intelligence number 4. Mali po, tingnan nyo yung letra, hindi yung number. Okay, 306 is letter B. That's number 4. Right? So I hope na yan po, may background tayo ng ulan ngayon. So chill lang mga kapatid. Ayan. Okay, anyway, I'll be stopping by 12 o'clock and we will continue next week. Ayan po. Okay, let's go to 307, which can help minimize memory deficit in learning. So, yung memory deficiency using cues, yung pagkakasunod-sunod, no, yung queuing system. No, I think that's a check. No, kasi pag-organize yung iyong learning, yung elements of that learning chunk na yung pinag-aaralan, ito ay makakabawas ng deficit sa learning. No, yung pagkakaayos, no, cues. Establishing learning conditions that reduce interference. Yung mga external interference, katulad ito, umuulan, no? This could be a distraction perhaps in learning or some learning environment not suitable for learning. We should avoid that. So we need to establish learning conditions that reduce interference from outside. And then number 3, using advanced organizer. That's a very important tool. In fact, that a tool would summarize in terms of illustrations or tabular or image presentation of the entire course. So that I think that would eliminate memory deficit. Then I would say that all of these are correct answers. So the answer is letter B. For 307, letter D. Okay? Okay, let's continue here on 308. Yeah, 308. Again, which characterize successful learners? So ano ba yung mga successful learners? Yun lang bang naka-perfect score ang successful learners? Minsan kasi tinitingnan lang natin numerically ang success, pero dapat makita natin yung outcomes, yung output, yung progress from point 1 to point B, or time 1, the first time that he learns the information up to the last, no? Did he progress or she progress on her learning? I think that's the more indicative of success rather than just having a perfect score. Ayan po mga kapatid, no? So the learners are active. Yes, they're active in their learning process. Participation-wise in the classroom, they're active. O, hindi lang yung OA, no? Basta lang makapagtaas ng kamay, mali naman yung sagot. Maraming ganun ang classmate nung panahon ni Miss Bostre. No, taas ng kamay, mali naman. Sa halip na nakatulong sa classmate, naging disruption pa siya. Kasi OA na, nung tinawag ng teacher, mali ang sagot. O di, nakakahiya. Alright? So yan po, hindi kailangan nyo ganun. Active in learning process. There's a goal directed. So there's a direction of goal. It's the responsibility of the teacher as facilitator of learners to set this direction, and that needs to be accepted by the learners. No, kailangan matanggap na ng learners yung goal na yan. Kung hindi, mahihirapan siyang matuto. Alright? And then self-regulating, yes, there are self-regulation in terms of the progress of learning. Assume personal responsibility. Acknowledging, teacher, kaguro. Madam, halika na, mag-review tayo ng LET. This is professional review course as far as our LET in facilitating learning is concerned. You might want to answer one question, madam. Try to answer 308, madam. Madam Ivy, wag mo akong iwanan. Hindi, sagutin mo muna yung 308, madam. Anong sagot mo? Type ka lang ng letter ng sagot. Madam Ivy, sagutin mo naman. Alam ko sinagot mo na si Sir Dong, pero ang pinapasagot ko sa iyo, itong 308, item 308, regarding successful learners. What describe or define or characterize successful learners? Please give me an answer. Now na teacher, meron ka sa aking, wala akong maibigay sa'yo. Ikaw pala yung bibigay ng bananas eh. Ano teacher? Sagot na. Go, go, go. Ano sagot mo? Letra lang. Sige na. Pimili ka lang dyan, oh. 308. Number 308. Teacher. Teacher Ivy. Alam ko naman, guru ka eh. Alam mo sagot dyan. Oo nga, sinagot ka ni Sir Dong, pero ibang tanong to eh. Sagutin mo, for the sake of my student who will be viewing this live stream in few hours, kasi wala siya ngayon. So, I recorded this in live stream. No? So, isa lang, Teacher IB. Sagutin mo yung 308, oh. What characterize successful learners? Oh. Ayan. Nako, parang umalis na Sir Ma'am Ivy. Ayaw sagutin. Ang gusto lang sagutin si Sir Dong, oo na nga. Iba na talagang may forever. Law of familiarity. Ayan. So nevertheless, sige, tuloy tayo. Alam ko naman, alam ni Madam ang sagot dito eh. Ayan, alam mo Madam ang sagot dito. Successful learners are active on their learning process. Check. There must be a goal-directed. It's goal-directed. The one that directs is our teachers. The facilitator of learner is the one that would direct the goal. However, the goal needs to be accepted by the learner. O kumbaga, ayan. Ang tamang sagot ay, tantanan, letter D. Correct. Yay. Correct. Congratulations! Tumama si Teacher Ivy. Yan. So it must be self-regulating as well as far as monitoring the learning process, and there is an assumption of personal responsibility for contributing to their own learning process, no? No, mahalaga 'yan sa isang mag-aaral na yung 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 previous successes niya makakatulong sa kanyang future successes. Kaya kailangan talaga konektado yung mga lesson eh. Tama ba, Teacher Ivy? Hindi siya disconnected lesson. Halimbawa sa math, if you will be teaching them addition of 2-digit number, the next time is 3 digits, the next time is 4 digits, until they will become independent, even anticipating solving for 5 digits or more, because they have this assume their responsibility in contributing their own learning. Okay, thank you, Teacher Ivy, for your participation. It's really an appreciation that you drop by on our review session for the sake of our students who will be taking their LET examination by next year. Thank you, Teacher Ivy. Sige, punta ka na kay Boss Dong. Alright, so 309, let's continue as we answer this. Another question on motivation. Ayan, another question in motivation. Which is or are the effects of motivation on students' learning and behavior? So it should be a positive, of course. It needs to be a positive effect rather than negative effect. Now, kung ang teacher lalo pang na-demotivate ang estudyante, nako po, problema yan. No? There must be something wrong with the teacher. No? If after the school, no, the teacher becomes so scary, scared, the pupils become scared and not anymore would like to learn after one single class with this teacher, so that becomes a problem. So it must be a positive effect of motivation on learning, though I would say that there are negative, but nevertheless we should focus on the positive. So, pag tamang motivation naman, positive ang impact nito sa estudyante. Alright, so ayan, babanggitin ko lang dito yung tamang sagot ni Teacher Ivy. Ayan. Alright, so 309, so directs behavior towards particular goals. Meron talagang appropriate behavior for a particular goal. Halimbawa, if you would like to enhance your skill in mathematics, like perhaps adding or dividing, no, these basic operations, then you will progress in exponents, then you will progress on radicals, then you will progress on binomials. Before, we are focusing only on single term, now in 2 terms, now 3 terms trinomial, and then we have special products and factoring, etc. and etc. So there's an appropriate behavior, guys. Madam, kung nandiyan ka pa. Meron tamang pag-uugali na tungo doon sa layunin, sa isang espesipikong layunin ng pagkatuto. Now, if you would like to become really good in math, you should be focused and you should practice. There must be perseverance. Yan. Unlike other subjects, perhaps in more on artistic side, perhaps dancing or some artwork. So iba yung skills niya, iba yung behavior doon. Though dapat parehong positive behavior, no? And of course, the foundation is your intrinsic motivation for both, whether that be mathematical or non-numerical skills. It should direct behaviors towards a particular goal. And then letter number 2, yan, leads to increased effort and energy. There must be an increasing effort to work more on this, to learn about this aspect, no, in terms of effort and energy. Nakikita mo, nagiging masigla yung bata sa pag-solve. Yan. Increases initiation of and persistence in activity. Nagkakaroon na siya ng kusa. at nagkakaroon ng pagpapagal o persistent sa pagkatuto. No doubt all of these items are correct answers. So the answer is letter D. 309 is letter D. Alright, so yan po ang makikita natin dyan. Next item, so we have couple of minutes. Tatapusin natin to. Siguro kahit mag-overtime ako ng konti. Okay, 310, what are most likely the behaviors of intrinsically motivated learners? Yan. So the motivation comes from within. Right? So 310. So by the way, there's a footnote here on 309. Motivation directs behavior towards a particular goals. Individuals set goals for themselves and direct their behavior accordingly. So it says here also on the commentary of the Lorimar Publishing, motivation leads to increased effort and energy. Motivation increases the amount of effort that learners expend in activity directly related to their needs and goals. Here, no? Motivation increases initiation of and persistence of activities. Learners are more likely to begin their tasks they want to do. They are also more likely to continue working at it until they have completed. So there's this persistence, perseverance, even if they are occasionally interrupted or frustrated in the process. Ayan po. So napakagandang mga footnotes from our publishing, Lorimar publisher, who is the author of this material that I'm using. This is not mine. Nevertheless, I would like to use this for effective review session for my student as well as other viewers. Okay, so the answer there is letter. What's the answer? Actually, nagkaroon ng dobling, kung papansin nyo, double yung no? So, ang sasuggest ko dito guys, yung first letter. So, kasi most likely, yun yung tama No, maaring nagkaroon ng typo yung huli. So, most likely than not. Pansinin nyo guys, pareho yung sagot niya Kasi, imposible naman typo agad and then tama. Pero pwede rin yun. So, I would say the answer here is letter A. For 310, the answer is letter A. Okay, so sige. Let's continue. Sip lang ako mga kapatid. Okay, to construct a useful representations of knowledge and to acquire the thinking and the learning strategies necessary to continued learning successes across the lifespan, student must generate and pursue personally relevant goals. This implies that the teacher must, napakahirap na tanong nito, but we must consider all of the items here, no? Of course, must show the relevance of the lesson to student goals, share their personal goals with the students, group students according to their type of goals, segregate students without goals in order not to influence others. Medyo masama yung letter D, AX ko na yung letter D. Letter C, group students according to the type of goals. I don't think so. Dahil bawat estudyante may kanya-kanyang motivation and their direction for goals. Goal direction is different. Though meron tayong idea pero mahirapan tayo niyang i-grupo yan. So I don't think this is also a right answer for letter C. Share their personal goals with the student. Mukhang tama siya. Pero ang sabi dito, continued learning process So, sharing mo lang ng goals for them to be motivated so that they would have their own direction as well. Not necessarily copying their personal goals with the other students, no? So I think the most correct answer here would be letter A. Show the relevance of lesson to the student's goal. Yung relevance ito kasi may mga lifelong learning doon eh. That transcends the course towards the goal of the students. Of course, for tertiary level, their goal is to become a licensed teacher. So the lessons that we are dealing with the student should be relevant and contributory to the students themselves as far as their personal development and professional growth is concerned. So yan po yan. So I would say 311 is letter A. Alright. Next, no, medyo mga analysis question na to. Ito ang ganda ng let guys eh, kumpara sa engineering board. Though may analysis kami doon pero much likely computational, but this is more on talagang i-analyze mo, item analysis talaga to. Okay, successful learners use strategic thinking in their approach to learning, reasoning, problem solving, and concept learning. They understand and can use a variety of strategies to help them reach learning and performance goal and to apply their knowledge in novel situations. They also continue to expand their repertoire of strategies by reflecting on the methods they use to see which work well for them. Haba ng premise, no? Kaming mga engineers na maiinip na kami magbasa nito, buti na lamang may engineer/educator ako. So yung extent kasi sa engineering is more computational. Ano na yung tanong? No, pero ito mas mahaba yung assumptions, no? But nevertheless, for education test types, ganito talaga ang inaasahan natin, guys. Ang mga tanong. Which processes of successful learners are described above? Yun, no? Napakahirap nito. Sige, bigyan ko kayo ng 5 seconds. Habang nagsisip ako dito. Ayan, tinanong ng misis ko kung meron akong estudyante. Sabi ko wala, monologue ako dito. Ayan, kaya live stream. Pero babato ko yung record sa kanya kasi may training ngayon yung estudyante ko. Ayan. Okay. So actually, kung babasahin niyo yung 312 guys, this is metacognitive process. Wala nang iba yan. No, yung metacognitive learning process nandyan. Approach to learning, reasoning, problem solving, concept learning. They understand variety of strategies, performance goal, no? Acknowledging, Ate ni Weng. Salamat po, madam. Oh, Ma'am Rosel. Welcome, Ma'am Rosel. Ma'am Shi, salamat. Ma'am Shi. Thank you, Ma'am Rosel, sa inyong pagpunta. Ma'am, di na ako nakadalo kasi meron din akong live ngayon. Meron tayong lecture. Welcome, madam. Ma'am, ito naman ay hindi calculus. Ngayon ay edu course naman ang tinuturo ko. Ayan. So, salamat, madam. Ayan, kay Ate Weng, kay Ma'am Shi Rosel, kay Kuya, Motovlog, no? Salamat. Kay Jess Master, salamat din sa'yo, Brad. Ayan, walang problema. Ngayon, nakikita ko kayo kasi binuksan ko yung aking no? Ayan, madam. Pero, ayan, salamat, madam, ha? Really appreciate. Ma'am, yung ating mga watch hours, mukhang pa-PM na, madam, para libre yung mga pieces ko, madam, eh. Kaya natin bunuin yan ng isang araw. Ayan. So, ang dinidescribe, so welcome sa Ma'am Shi Rosel Ragus team. Salamat. Ang dinidescribe ng number na ito ay metacognitive process. Okay? It's not just cognition wherein you are learning or thinking, but thinking on thinking or learning on learning. That's metacognitive. Ayan. O, okay lang madam, libre naman yung mga pang-watch our pieces natin. Walang problema. Okay lang po yan madam. Alam ko po ay busy kayo sa inyong business ni madam. No? Ayan madam. Ayan, so it's not only imaginative, no? So there is far beyond imagination and creation. Creation is part of the metacognitive process. So the answer here for item 312 is letter C. Okay, salamat Team Ma'am Shirosel Rago, salamat po sa inyo. Ayan, salamat madam. Nawa magkita-kita ulit tayo sa live stream kasi ma'am yung pong alas 10 ay talagang lecture hours ko yan madam. Medyo hindi na ako nakakasilip ngayon sa ating live stream pero nevertheless, no. So pag may pagkakataon madam ay manggugulo tayo sa live stream ni Ma'am Shi. Salamat po madam. Ayan, so the answer for 312 at maulang umaga sa inyo mga kapatid. Yan pong bugso ng ulan ng mga nakalipas na taon tuloy na araw na sobrang init ay ngayon ay umuulan. Ayan. So the answer here is metacognitive process. Alright. Yung ninja ko pala, ay hindi ko nalagyan ng hindi ko pala to. Wala siyang jacket. Dali lang po mga kapatid, jajakitan ko yung ninja kong sarili, hindi walang jacket. Ayan, so anyway. Salamat po uli Ma'am Shia, thank you for dropping by. Sa kayong team nyo nag-thumbs up grade, salamat po, really appreciate that. Yung sarili kong ninja ay walang jacket. Yan, mahilig lang ako mag-jacket ng ibang mga participants. Okay. Alright. So, nagpapatuloy tayo. Running review to guys ha. Running review. Kaya yung iba sa inyo na gustong mag-review ng LET tuwing Sabado, no, pwede. Kasi kung Tuesdays to Friday, puro mathematics po yung tinuturo ko. So medyo nasa inyo rin po yan. Part ng pwede ring review session doon. We could always inject some review sessions on that. Okay, so we have here 302. Let's proceed now with 313. Alright, 313 here. Ayan. So, hindi lahat ng answer guys, all of the above Huwag tayong mamihasa na all of the above ang sagot ng board examiner sa inyong licensure exam for teachers. So, nagkakataon lang sa reviewer na lahat ay tama, pero hindi lahat ng pagkakataon ang tama lahat ng items, no? Okay, it says here, which are proofs that students are engaged in a metacognitive process. Alright, so thinking about thinking and learning about learning. So these are definitions of metacognitive process. And through this process, we could have a self-direction in learning to attainment of a particular goal. There must be an appropriate behavior for that goal to achieve. No? So that's part and parcel of what we call metacognition. So number 313, reflect on how they think and learn. So it's more on thinking I think there's a check on Roman numeral number 1. That is metacognitive process. Letter B, set reasonable learning and performance goal. Now, goal is an aspect of metacognition. So this is a check as well. Alright? Parang mali ako Hindi, tama. And then, select potentially appropriate learning strategies or methods and monitor their progress. The progress in your learning strategies method is also part of the metacognition. So therefore, the answer is letter D again. Letter D. All of the above. Ayan. Alright. Few more items before lunchtime. I know you are not feeling well anymore. You're hungry. Alright. 314 here. Which are proofs that students are engaged in a metacognitive process, no? So another circular no. All right. Okay, number 1, know what to do if a problem occurs. Okay? Sense if they are not making sufficient or timely progress towards a goal. So there's a sense, no? And then number 3, generate alternative methods to reach their goal. What do you think is the answer, guys? All of these items are correct again. So 3114 is a correct answer. But 12. Ayan. Alright, so I think this would be my last item, 315. Ayan, tutuloy na lang natin to guys in some other future time. No? At ayan, so anyway, ay magtatanghali na. Thank you for participating. Thank you for all that drop by. Ma'am Shirosel, salamat po. And also, Ma'am Kaguro Ivy Clotario ay nandito rin. John Musics TV is with us, and all of the friends here at YouTube. I would like to thank you. Even my student Steph, you may just view this after your training. Okay? Okay, 315. Cultural or group influences on students can impact on learners' motivation, orientation towards learning. What? And ways of thinking. Which prove this? Which prove this? Okay, okay, sige. Letter A, authoritarianism in Filipino homes contributes to the docile children. Letter B, learners with above average IQ are more motivated than those with below average IQ. Children who are products of interracial marriage are better motivated for learning rather. And letter D, children with weak biological makeup are unmotivated for learning. I would make a cross on that, letter D. So, hindi po yan. These are invalid items. Letter C, who are products of interracial. I don't think so. Not necessary. Learners with above average are more motivated than those. No? This still 50-50 ako sa B. No, not necessary. Kasi kahit naman yung matalino lang talaga sila pero maaaring hindi motivated. But the scenario for in terms of cultural, kasi ang tinatanong dito cultural, no? So yung biological makeup is X, interracial, hindi rin siya cultural, no? Interracial, X. Yung cognitive, hindi siya cultural, letter B. So ang natitirang cultural dito is letter A. The authoritarianism in Filipino homes contributes to a docile children. So letter A. My answer is letter A. 315. Okay? So yan yung that's how we analyze items here, no? So sana magawa niyo to salit ng tama, no? Okay, so yan na po ang ating katapusan ng ating pag-aaral ngayon, a matter of review for facilitating learning. And I hope and pray that this would help you in your review session Although you may attend regular session online, or perhaps this just part of parcel, perhaps contributing to this body of knowledge in our professional education courses. Okay, so we thank the Lord for that. Step, relax, and no worries about your training. You may view this in due time. Okay, I'll be posting immediately the video link on our classroom so that you may see as well as the correct answer. What I have uploaded is volume 1. What I'm discussing now is volume 2. Kasi nga, yung pag nabasa mo yung volume 1, hindi na surprise sa'yo yun. Kasi may answer na doon. Okay? So, I will be using volume 2. Pero yung volume 1, sa'yo na yan. You could make use of that for your reviewer. And I would just have some supplements for volume 2. I think volume 3, no? Not so sure, no? Not so sure about that. Okay? So, I'll be closing in a word of prayer. Then we will have our addendum already of our session. Let's pray. Father in heaven, we thank you for this day. Thank you for this opportunity that we could continue on our discussion, even as to review some test items preparatory to licensure examination, particularly to my student, Mrs. Step. I pray, Lord, for her training, that you will continually guide her and motivate her, Lord, to become a learner and eventually facilitators of learning towards her pupils in due time. May continually help her prepare for his licensure examination. And I also thank you, Lord, for some of our live streamers who are actually joining us here, contributing to this body of knowledge. We thank you, Lord. Bless our homes, and as we also prepare for our services tomorrow, may continually guide us. May we worship you in spirit and truth. This is our prayer in Christ's name. Amen. Okay, thank you so much, and God bless everyone. Week 9, next, I'll be having my EDU session next Saturday, Lord willing. Okay, God bless us all, and to God be the glory.